Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. The Mormons have just made a few statements. They revealed that it is true that Joseph Smith, would you call him the founder of the Church of Scientology?
No, not Scientology.
Not Scientology, of Mormonism, the Church of Latter-day Saints.
I think so. I think that's what I would call him, yeah.
Okay. They admitted that he had up to 40 wives. 40. One of which was 14 years old and others who were already married. The church has banned polygamy, but this is the first time they've admitted that Joseph Smith had 40 wives. Now,
the funny thing is, yeah, we kind of all knew that. It doesn't really change much for them to officially admit it.
Yeah. But I mean, what's interesting to me is that if Joseph Smith had 40 wives, what led them to come to the conclusion that this was not good and that this was a bad thing? Was it just out of sheer necessity to be able to operate and live in the United States that they needed to do this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, because it's like, if even the leader was doing it, isn't it obviously the moral and right and desirable thing to do?
Yeah. I mean, the guy who found those magical plates and read messages from God, I was a guy who deemed it moral and fine to have multiple wives.
Louis, did I tell the Mormon story from over the weekend? Did I tell it at any point?
I don't think so.
This is the most random thing. So there's this kind of like speculation in the radio world, and I've talked to lots of like commercial radio people that say this. They say the best salespeople for ad sales for radio are Mormons because they have really good interpersonal skills and they're used to cold calling on people because they do these missions. And if you can try to convince someone to come to your religion, selling radio ads is kind of like no sweat at all. They tend to marry young and have many kids, so they have a financial incentive to do well in sales. These are not my words, to be clear. This is what many program directors and district managers and radio people have said to me. The other day, I was up in Massachusetts, and my dad said there's a solar thing that they want to install solar panels, and then we don't pay for them, and then we get a discount on electricity. They're coming to do a presentation. So my dad said, if you're around, just come and listen to it. So I showed up. And this guy comes in, and for whatever reason, there was something about him that made me say, this feels like it's one of those Mormon sales guys. I don't know why. I mean, it was within seconds of meeting this guy. And he goes through his whole pitch, 30, 45 minutes. And while he's talking, I'm looking on my phone and seeing the company he works for is a company that scams people and that these solar leases are not a good deal. You're encumbering your house with a 20-year commitment to use their solar panels. It was not going to be worth it at all, right? But I mostly focus on that and forget about the Mormon thing. And then as he's about to leave, he says, oh, you live in New York City. I've never been there. Yeah, I actually just moved here to Massachusetts from Utah with my wife and our 3 children. This guy was in his mid-20s. Now, this is not proof that he was Mormon, but with the amount of people that move to the Northeast from Utah and work in sales jobs, and if you consider how many of them that are 25 and already married with 3 children, there was a very, very high probability, Louis, that this was one of those Mormon salespeople that I'd heard so much about. Perfectly nice guy, by the way, actually was a good salesperson. He happened to be selling something that was completely not worth it. But it was just amazing. The moment he said, I moved here with my wife from Utah and our 3 kids.
So you never received confirmation?
Never did. And also, from his name, I looked up his name, and it's a common Mormon name in Utah. I mean, if I had to bet money, I would bet money that this guy was Mormon.
All right. Anyway, you're probably right. Yeah, I'm sure that was the case. But the church has admitted this, and it's pretty interesting. Will it change anything? No.
I wish more people knew about how much of a scam Mormonism was, though. Like, for example, when Joseph Smith was asked to reread what the gold tablets said, on different occasions, he interpreted them differently. Basically, he just didn't remember exactly how he read them the first time. I mean, it's such an obvious scam.
Oh yeah, it's a total joke, and completely false. Like, well, it's a religion. What can we say?
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, I've spent some time with some Mormons here in Texas, and very nice people. I you know I don't get it. I mean, they seem like smart people, but I guess you're just sometimes you're a victim of circumstance. You grow up in a family that's religious, you're religious, and that's just how it goes. They have some pretty fascinating beliefs, and I would encourage people to look that stuff up. Fascinating or shocking, perhaps shocking is the word. Anyway, let's talk about Glenn Beck a little bit. I'm sure this is something you considered covering on the regular show.
Yeah, I did, and then I decided not to because it's kind of like about it was a little too weird. I don't know. I didn't know how I felt about covering it.
Glenn Beck went on this long speech where he revealed that he had been battling some health problem that left doctors baffled, and he was having all sorts of symptoms. It seemed that he wasn't sleeping. He was having physical pain. He was, it seemed like probably some type of neurological issue.
Doctors said that his brain might be shutting down.
And what ultimately it seemed like everyone was in agreement that this was attributed to overworking and just being completely overwhelmed all the time, which, judging if you watch his show, you'd never guess. Everything's so calm and smooth and relaxed, and the camera moves very slowly, and he talks very slowly, and everything seems so, I don't know, peaceful.
But that's his character. That's the character he's acting, you know?
Yes. I guess he was going crazy inside because he was possibly working himself to death. And in one article, it says that this was similar to something many presidents wrote about, just being completely overwhelmed and trying to absorb too much and do too much, and that there were presidents who had similar symptoms and issues. And I just got sent another article that says that he sought treatment for this. I didn't see this in the video I watched, but at one of these brain centers that is that deals with athletes and certain people, and I guess is they do something called he talked to an expert in chiropractic neurology. So this is one of those centers where some of what the doctors are doing, a lot of other medical professionals would consider unorthodox, strange,
not advisable, maybe not advisable.
Not advisable, placebos, placebo treatment. But he says this has helped him. And it's just the whole thing is kind of interesting. But this article makes it sound almost like he's pitching this almost making this hospital or treatment center sound like one of his advertisers.
Yeah, I watched it, and I don't know what to think about it, because on the one hand, there clearly is something wrong with Glenn Beck, and it wouldn't be at all surprising to find out that there is something actually neurologically wrong with him. But, I really don't know what to make of it, especially when this is not the first time that Glenn Beck has talked about things. He had this story about something that happened when I think it was when he had a colonoscopy years ago, where he ended up in a hospital, and there was some story there, and there were all sorts of allegations being thrown around, some that made sense, some that didn't. I don't know what the truth of it was. A year or two ago, he said he had been diagnosed with, I think it was some kind of neuropathy. I don't remember. I don't know if
that was this.
Well, see, that's the thing. Was this misdiagnosed? Is that what he's saying? That was misdiagnosed last year. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know what to make of it. I don't really have that much of an interest in Glenn Beck's medical situation specifically, but because of just the weird nature of how it was all presented and the placement of this treatment center, something about it is really weird. I agree with you.
It is weird, and you have to wonder how much of this is Glenn Beck being Glenn Beck and trumping things up and drama and ratings. How much of it is real? I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with him. I'm sure that there was an issue there. But like you said, this whole thing is just very strange. So we'll follow it. I guess he's fine now. I don't know. He says he's fine and his brain has been rebooted. But I won't dismiss what some of these treatment centers do either. There's a lot we don't know about the brain, and there's a lot of people doing really interesting work when it comes to this type of thing.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak to that. All right, Elon Musk is at it again. This time, this is something I am very interested in. He made an announcement that in 2 to 3 months, he says in 2 to 3 months, he will be making a big announcement. And he's saying that SpaceX is in the early stages of developing advanced microsatellites operating in large formations. And everything points to this being a worldwide internet-related thing. Cheap, affordable internet for the world is what this looks like. And this would be so huge. I mean, it's being. I don't think people understand how big this would be.
Yeah, this would be so huge, and it doesn't. It's actually a business opportunity, because if you create a worldwide internet network that just works for people, you wouldn't even necessarily need to charge for it. It could be ad driven. It could be advertising driven, and make tons of money. Elon Musk would be the person to pull something like that off. This is absolutely huge. The things that Elon Musk has been getting involved in are hugely significant, and I'm very interested in following this.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. I think that this, I'm assuming that you will be able to have faster internet by, via the normal companies that we're dealing with. This probably isn't going to be the highest speed internet around.
At least not initially.
Right. But worldwide, it seems everything Musk touches turns to gold, or at least is successful to some extent. And this is a big one. We'll have to follow it. I'm looking forward to the announcement in 2 to 3 months. Anything to add?
Nothing else, no.
All right. So let's keep our eyes on this and check out that Glenn Beck stuff. It's pretty crazy. Thanks for joining me.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.